Boo! Hey everybody, welcome back to Karandrin Role Playing. My name is Kevin Manus Pennings, also known as Cracked Palantir, and I will be your game master and host for this episode 94 of Brise's Tale, an exciting one. And my good buddy Max, as always, is here to play the Paladin Brise. Max, say hello to the lovely people.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing quite all right tonight.
We are going to try to dive pretty quickly into it just to keep the tension up. Last episode, we had some crazy combat in which Nalani, the Brise's young female falcon familiar, bravely took out this flying serpent creature that had attacked them both. But then, as the creature fell to its death, it landed on top of Nalani. Brise rushes over to Nalani. Nalani is clearly fading, is very critically injured. And if Nalani dies while still a familiar to Brise, Brise will be sort of disoriented for weeks because that connection was broken by the act of death.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of letting that happen, she, Brise, can heal Nalani or remove the ring, the band of familiars that produces the familiar connection between them, a magic item called the Band of Familiars.
Right.
All right, Max, it's decision time.
Yeah, and we spoke a little before the stream just to keep everything making sense. So I definitely want to heal Nalani. She made a good sacrifice, and it doesn't make sense to kind of abandon her now. So I'm just gonna grab a healing potion from my pouch and try to find where her injury it looks the worst, and kind of mend it that way. Stabilize her, hopefully.
You pour it. You can tell that it must have just be general crush, although she is bleeding along the breastbone. You can see where ribs are jutting out from compound fractures. And, you roll her over. She sort of weakly snaps at you, but she's too weak to even put up much of a fight, much like a wounded dog will do. Um, and you pour it on her, and slowly she seems to gain energy. And you just sort of hold your breath and wait. And it's
Yeah.
a very slow process. Um, you still have, she's basically coated in this, thing. You still have half a potion left. And so
Okay.
you might as well rack that up for Nalani next time, assuming she
Yeah.
pull through.
Right.
Um, you don't know enough about obviously potions and even healing to know how this is supposed to work for
I
a
don't,
non-human species.
I don't know enough about animals, anatomy, or potions.
That's right.
I'm in extremely unfamiliar territory.
No pun intended.
Oh
Unfamiliar.
my god. Apparently, I don't know anything about familiars either because mine keep getting injured.
Well, it's a dangerous line of work, and um, so
Okay, so I'm gonna scoop her up, try to get her out of this tangled mess here,
yeah, just yeah.
and
You push the flying serpent, this sort of gray 8 to 9 foot long
mhm.
serpent with this heavy maw, and you obviously have the sort of the marred statue of the Iron Empress. She's dressed in a close-fitting gown that falls to her feet. There are serpents that are entwined around her legs and are on the carved on the pedestal. Some of those have been knocked off. Um, someone has come through here before. Um, where do you want to take her?
Yeah. So my best bet would be like an actual just isolated room, but we haven't really come across this yet. Or maybe the guard room, actually. The
Well,
the could be a guard
I mean, you've sort of cleared an area. I mean, you could just go to the foyer, put her in a corner, draw a weapon, and just sit and
Yeah,
listen, right?
we'll do that for now. Let's go to the foyer, and we'll go to the that corner with the door that I saw, right? And kind of choose that corner
In the sanctuary or in the foyer?
in the foyer.
Okay, yeah. Um, so yeah, you go there, and you can put your back against the door, and you'll know if anything tries to
Yeah.
get in. Um, and it takes a good long while for her to for the potion to take effect. There is
Okay.
clearly some differences um,
Interesting.
for at least for this type of injury where it's severe and crush. You used a potion, I think, before on, how did you heal? Was it Nilani that you healed of the burns from the Dalvane?
No, that was the Fae actually. They had
The,
come across
yeah,
the three little Fae. Can't remember they're just the little fairies. Yeah, the best way to
right.
fairies. They healed her.
Um, so it is about mid morning.
Oh yeah,
Um,
man, it would be good if I could try to contact the Billborn Fae again.
yeah, I was thinking about that, and I couldn't think of any reliable way of doing it.
Right, because they kind of the one contact I had told me they can't really see me.
Yeah, their elders have rejected any offer of helping you. Um, yeah. Oh,
I'm
actually,
offering you to help me. I don't know
that's
why.
right. And I should tell for any, I just mentioned, I forget to mention this. I've fallen out of the habit of doing so. So in the chat, oh Lord, I had a different cut and paste there. So in the chat, you can, we're going to post Max's notes and stuff, where you can follow along live, like with comments he makes in there. And you'll see other links there, including his character sheet and so on, which we got to update here once we do some more experience points and see if we can get you yet another level before I hand you a new character sheet.
Yeah,
Uh, so, um, so hop to those, and you can take a look at his stuff sort of live, as well as other links of interest in there. I've been forgetting to point that out, and so I don't want any new viewers to miss out on the info. Um, so. Um, so clearly she's getting stronger. Your link with her is getting stronger, but it takes a good hour or so, and so it's now sort of mid morning, you know,
yeah.
um, um, and she really is back to her old self.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay, are there any like still like visible injuries on her or
She still has stains of blood.
right?
The her breast is of a slightly different shape, probably
Yeah,
because of misset ribs and so on. You don't know, if that can affect her flying. Is that,
yeah. I don't.
but that's sort of that's sort of the case with you too. At one point, you're going to get some injury that you're just going to have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see Aldriff's response to that.
I'm still young. It's okay.
That's right. You'll heal.
You see all these old, wizards, and they look fine.
They look fine. I
They
mean,
made
some of them get killed by Balrogs and just bounce right back after
yeah.
a Christ-like 3 days. It's fine. It's fine.
Um, what was I going to say? So I'll ask Nilani. I guess command is the only way to say it.
Sure.
Kind of have them hop around and fly a little and see if I feel that kind of pain or if it is hard for her to do that.
She's very sore everywhere. You can sort of feel an ache and stiffness to her. Um, um, and there is a wing that is troubling her on the side with the slightly deformed breast.
Yeah,
Um, you see her, like, she's having to correct her flight slightly.
yeah,
It's she's making inadvertent turns. She's listing, I guess, is the word to
right,
that, and then having to correct with a couple of pumps of the wing.
right.
Um, and it maybe there's just more natural healing left to do. Um, but
Okay.
certainly, I mean, she didn't exactly save you, but she certainly helped, and you have pulled her through. Um, the dust and weapons of the skeleton warriors that you fought lie here in the foyer still.
Hmm.
Um, both were scimitars. If you have any interest, I know that there is a understandable wariness of picking up anything from the undead, and that is
Yeah.
fine too. Um, what would you like to do?
Well, if she is seems to be doing fine, I'm wondering if I guess I will just keep her with me and keep exploring, but we will try to keep her out of combat or any kind of
Right.
danger. So okay, awesome. That's really good news. I'm very happy about
Yeah,
that.
it was definitely scary.
Yeah.
Let me see
Okay.
where
Well,
is.
while we're here, we should try this door um, just to make sure there's nothing behind it.
Oh, I gotta do. Sorry,
Nothing
I'm trying
waiting
to.
for me
That's not right. Dang it. Sorry, I'm trying to get you back up. So again, I will be
in the map. In
in the
affinity.
map quite a bit, and so forgive me if I miss any comments and so on. You guys just shout at Max and
Yeah, just I'll
okay,
try to keep them entertained. So
that's
yeah,
right.
we've so far we've explored the entryway, this foyer, and then there's a hallway leading down to a grand hall where the large statue is.
Right. So this main
Kind of
sanctuary.
we passed up one hallway, an offshoot hallway where battled some undead skeletons and
Right.
skeleton warriors, and then this door here in the corner of the foyer, which I assumed might be some guard room or some waiting room of some sort. We'll see
Right.
what's
Yeah.
behind that now.
Um, so there's no sound. You try the.
Obi-Wan Karen says, Max with speakers. Is my volume too quiet? Should I
Well, you
increase my
can't turn it up. Actually, you can't. I don't believe you can.
I mean, I could increase my sensitivity, but that probably won't make me louder, though.
Right. Let me hop over here. You're boosted, your typical boost, but if
Maybe she means I'm too loud. Am I too loud? Well, speaker symbols.
yeah, Obi-Wan, what do you mean? Does Max need to go higher or lower? What are you saying there?
Do I need to
Use
go
words.
higher or go lower?
That's right.
My
I love
pitch,
that.
my pitch is off.
Massaging joke. You say, "How is that, baby?" And they go lower, and you go, "How is that, baby?"
I'm gonna do that next time to the shop. They're gonna be so annoyed with me.
I was thinking about our relationship, Max, and I was thinking, the great thing about having a good buddy who's a lot younger is there's a lot of old jokes that you may not have heard. So I shouted, "I see." That's funny. That's funny, Obi-Wan. We got you now. We got you. Um, and so there was this joke that my buddy told me years ago. What do most men say after having sex? What do they say to their wives after having sex?
I don't know. What do they say?
Honey, I'll be home in a minute. So
That's hilarious.
such a,
That's really good. Oh my gosh.
such a jerk of a joke, right?
Mm,
All right, I'm gonna
that'll
move
do
on.
it. Don't tell that to your wife. They will not.
No, no, I've learned my lesson. Right, dead serpent. I'm gonna leave body. I'm gonna use some of these markers, these sort of creature markers that I've got. I'm gonna use them for
Yeah.
bodies now, and just indicate they're
Mark
dead.
those bodies.
So there we go. Um, so where do you want to go? You want to, and I guess she's on your shoulder. Nalani's on your shoulder.
Hmm.
You're going to
Yeah.
go to the door of the guard room, listen,
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll
check
just
the handle.
listen, check the handle, all the good
Yeah,
stuff.
so no sound coming from it. It is unlocked. Um, and uh, you're going to, oh, and let's talk about your floating lantern.
Yeah, that's Well, this room has natural light, right? So I don't really need that.
No, there is no window to this room.
This is the. Oh, you mean the room I'm about to enter? I
Has
thought the
no window.
foyer had windows.
The foyer doesn't have windows. The doors are left wide open, and so the light spills in from the doorway.
Was there not that like window above them that was kind of covered with vines? Was
No,
that?
that is actually in the sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
Casting light, well, dim
I
light
see.
now
I
because of
see.
the overgrowth. Yeah, that casts light down onto the sanctuary.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll have my floating lantern kind of send that into the room first, illuminate
Sure.
what's there, and then I'll have a spear and shield in hand.
Um, it's we would probably, I mean, in terms of like a lot of bedroom sizes are about 15 by 15. That's the size of
Mhm.
like a guest bedroom, kind of a size. And that's about the size of this room. It's square. Um, there are benches on one wall, um, just anchored with iron directly into the wall.
Mhm.
Um, there are some brackets on the wall that you recognize as like holding spears or bows. So pretty clearly a guard room, in your opinion. Um, um, there is evidence that people have slept here in the past, and there's faded symbols on things like the bedrolls and a cloak. This seems to be gear from Penn soldiery. Um, and so, um, which sort of raises an interesting question in as much as, what's the, why do we keep seeing signs of the Penn here?
Yeah. Considering I wonder if they had, because this place would have been abandoned, you know, long, long ago. So it's other people might have used it as a hideout, in the meantime. My
Right.
best guess. So,
Now, the Penn are periodically at war with Nargaz, the Goblin Nation.
right.
The Penn, for any new viewers, they are a mannish race to the east in the deserts beyond the mountain. And they fight with the goblins. I mean, every couple of decades they fight over basically river rights, water rights,
Mhm.
um,
You
and
name it.
that's right. Well, predominantly those rivers and lakes up against the mountains, because that would be just an enormous source of irrigation and agriculture for the Penn. Um, and they lost some of that with the arrival of the goblins, and they don't forget it. Um, at times they're pretty cordial, but not always. Um, so, whoops, that was not a good idea. I shrunk you
Yeah,
down.
so we'll kind of just continue to explore the room, see if anything catches my eye or any other doors leading out.
No, there's no doors in or out. There's no windows,
Okay.
which doesn't surprise you. You don't want people to, see guards
Break
lounging
into a
around.
guard room, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you don't want to see them like, you don't trust us, like what's going on.
I see.
Um, so, um, there's the only door is the one you came in back out to the foyer.
Okay, good. This could be a little like base if I need to
Yeah.
relax or hide from anything. So okay. So then we'll loop back into the foyer and back into the grand entry hall or the grand forgot the name we gave it. The hall.
Well, there's, sort of, it's a T shape, right? And the thicker part of it, the really broad hall, which is, let me see what scale I'm at right now. Yeah. So it's 20 feet wide.
Hmm.
Um, and so it goes deeper in, and you have a 10-foot wide hall that goes to your left and to your right. To the
Hmm.
left, it ends in double doors that are closed. To your right, it goes down several, I mean, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I mean, it goes down 50, 60 feet.
Hmm.
And there is a closed door about 30 feet from you on the right side of the hall. As you face down that way, there's an open door, then a closed door, then a closed door. And Um, Closed door is way down at the corner, and across the hall on the left side from those closed doors is another closed door.
Wow. Okay. We'll have to explore just at the beginning here. I do want to. So let's go back to the creature, though. The corpse of the creature. I do want to kind of investigate in that and take some notes on this
Oh,
creature.
right,
Yeah.
the
Before
serpent. Sure.
I don't know, whatever rot will set in. God,
No, I understand. I
this place
mean,
is gonna smell terrible soon.
well, and before just get distracted or have to leave.
Right.
Yeah, so you just make your way back to the body of this gray, 8 foot long winged serpent. Um, you do some sketches.
Yeah.
Um,
Curious about like its wings too, like how those work and how they're kind of connected to its body.
it really doesn't seem, they don't really seem large enough to propel something this large through the air, not as quickly as it did. Uh,
Right.
um, there's also an unnatural heat coming from it, and you worry that um, maybe this is the unnatural aspect of it now leaching from the body.
Mm.
Um, say a little prayer and
Yeah.
move things with your dagger instead of your hand.
Yes.
Um, but again, as we mentioned last stream, the wings, both the larger ones in the front, and then the sort of the smaller, almost hand-sized pair, about 2/3 of the way down. Um, they're just strikingly beautiful. I mean, they're just a beautiful sort of gray dove color, um, and it's sort of weird to see them attached to something that's
You're
clearly.
like, and they're feathered, kind of.
Yeah. Oh no, they're feathered. Yeah. And it's this serpent is sort of has a gray fur on it here and there. It has a gray coarse frill that goes down its whole length. Um, um, and from where you are, you can see, um, um, there are statues, much smaller statues to the other three gods in this pantheon.
Yeah.
One just beyond where you're standing now, up against the wall. Dang it! I should have got my notes out for that because I need to know. But um, the sorry, lost my train of thought. Man, about half an hour ago. I mean, about an hour ago, before we got on the stream, man, my head suddenly started hurting so bad. I'm like, I do not want to cancel so early, so soon before the stream. But man, it was hurting so badly. It's the after effects, I'm sure. But you have the oh no.
I'm back. Woo!
Wow, I heard the badunk of you disappearing.
You just started talking about your headaches and stuff, and then I was just like, my connection went out. I'm like, oh, we lost more than your train of thought.
That's funny. Oh yeah, I got to turn you back up. This is this is what we get for being on Wi-Fi. I got to get my internet connection fixed over here. Um, Tell him the one about the golf ball. Quinn, what's the one about the golf ball? I don't know it. I mean, I know one about a leprechaun and a golf ball, but I can't remember. I can't remember quite how that one goes. Obi-Wan's dad loves that joke, and I can't remember how that one goes. Um, I know the one about the flip flops and the dildo. Anyway, um,
After the stream, after the stream.
so you
So,
have depicted here smaller statues in their cardinal positions. You have the eagle, which is um, behind the Iron Empress herself. It's against the far wall from where you are. Near you would be, dang it, I gotta find that note. I looked it up and I meant to draw these in so I wouldn't have to refer back, and then I forgot to do so. Oh, here we go. Right, so the Iron Empress faces west, and the entrance to the temple faces west. Um, oh, that's so great. Do you know this answer?
No, I can kind of guess the format. Something about hitting one.
Oh, that's good. That's sort of similar. A man will spend an hour searching for a golf ball. That's right, Quinn. I couldn't get it from just the golf ball. All right, so nearest. So right, so the
I
eagle
might laugh
is
at that. Sorry.
the statue of the eagle is directly behind. That's the
Right.
eastern wall. You therefore, let me check where you'd be, where you are. I got to figure this out. So that's west, that's east, which makes that. So you're near the south. So you're near the statue of the swan,
Right.
and then across the way from you, um, on the northern wall, is the statue of the owl.
Mm, gotcha.
Um, there is writing on all of these statues, and it's in a language you've at least come to recognize. We should just give you probably one mark, and that's the sort of weird thing about Karandrin is Karandrin is so organic, and you come across so much interesting information that the skill system intended for sort of more typical role playing doesn't exactly reflect everything that we're able
Yeah.
to accomplish here. You know, um,
It's more like RuneScape where you're just kind of doing something like, hey, you leveled up. Like, oh, okay.
right.
There's no real like, yeah, like quantity of knowledge.
Um, so just to let you know, there's things on there's writing on each of the
Right. And I will go take a
statues.
look at those and use my spectacles of sophistication to read them. Oh, the PowerPoint went down. You want to bring that back up?
Oh, sorry. Right, of
Didn't even
course.
notice.
I lost you.
I just noticed. I was like, wow, you can kind of see my arms on the stream.
That's right. Yeah, it does change how we the real estate that you and I get when we don't share with the character art. Um, Done by the talented Elliot Dunovitz. We're very grateful for them. Um, so, um, um, so the swan that you are near, um, says, um, sorry, I had it and I lost it.
The
It
swan
says
says, "What's the difference between a G spot?"
compassionate, right? Compassionate, judge, loving keeper of the law. Check my database, see if I've come up with these guys' names yet. I forget if I had. Give me just a second.
Swanson.
Oh my God, shut up.
What's
That's
the other
just
one? An eagle?
awful.
Eagle? Everett the eagle?
Oh, wait, I don't have it in here. I have it in. Sorry, gang. I have it in here.
So yeah, we know for all our audience, this is the religion of the Iron Empress. We're kind of 5,000-year-old faith. We're slowly uncovering more and more pieces of these three bird gods, I suppose, that were kind of revered. At the same time, the Iron Empress was also revered, kind of in juxtaposition to them.
Right. So we know that the Iron Empress, um, uh, her name is Wanbray,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Wombre.
which is Waunbrey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the swan, always represented in the south, is Kosheil, Koshheil. The eagle of the east. As you walk over there, is Abigail. Abbagau. And there it says maker of the law and the maze. And there's all kind of maze iconography over the base of his statue,
Mm.
or its statue. Um, and the owl represented, always positioned in the north, is Penbrey, Penbrey, and below it, it is written executioner and watcher of the night.
Damn, Penbray.
Um,
All
oops, that's
right.
the wrong thing. And then, of course, you have Wanbray, the Iron Empress in the center, and um, and as you walk over there, roll for me.
35.
Definitely, yeah. You recall that faint sulfurous smell
Yeah,
that
kind
you
of
got.
emanating in the
It's
whole area.
a it's a it's a little stronger here, just a touch.
Just a touch.
Um, as I said, some of the serpent's heads have been knocked off. I mean, it's just clear acts of vandalism, and
Yeah.
you're not my god, and so hey, I'll just mess with you, kind of attitude. Um, and she is, of course, always referred to as the breaker of the maze,
Right.
um, and the queen of liberty.
The whole statue of the Iron Empress is just the Statue of Liberty.
It is with a dagger instead of a torch. Um, um, yeah,
Queen of Liberty. All right. Interesting information here. It's interesting that they give there's names for the other ones too that'll help with like research.
mm-hmm. So, what would you like to do now?
So in this room, then there's the main hall, and so does it continue? Past this room, or is this kind of the end?
There are two doors, both closed in the back, and um, that is to say, the wall, the eagle's wall,
Yeah.
um,
Right.
and there's also a door closed just as you come in to your right. So
Okay.
at the moment, it's well, if you were to stand examining the serpent creature and looking at the swan, it would be to your in the right corner.
Right.
Um, and that door is closed.
Okay. Let's backtrack to the other back down the main hallway and kind of explore those two branching halls then.
Okay, so
So
you come to the top of the T just
right,
before entering the foyer.
right,
So to your right now would be about 30 feet away. There are two set of double doors
okay.
closed,
Yeah,
and then a much longer hallway opens up to your left, and that is got numerous doors.
yeah.
There are
So let's
no
go
doors.
down. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
there are no doors visible going to your right.
Right. So we'll go down to the right and do the double doors at the end of the hall.
Okay.
Try them.
Sneaky, sneaky. Now, here you know that at some point you're going to be encountering damage to the temple from landslides over the past.
Right.
I guess it would be. I'm so weird. It's trying to do this correctly. So, the southern part of the temple is unaffected. It's just the
Mhm.
northern side of the temple,
Right.
that side furthest from your camp, that Fraudrum warned you in her observations from the air. She warned you that some of the building had been crushed there.
Mm.
Um, so the doors are closed. You approach, put an ear to it. Um, you hear no sound. What would you like to do?
We backtracked just once. I would like to actually put the spear away, and I'm going to grab my flail of fairness, actually.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm going to encounter more hordes and, like groups of creatures here. So
I
that'll
wouldn't call two a horde, but
well, or groups of creatures.
sure.
Rather have that on me. Well, I guess, yeah, I'll have that, carrying that around with my shield. Um,
And you just
I
toss
need
your
to just
shield if
drop the
need
shield,
be.
yeah, and use that.
Okay.
I was searching for it, and I was searching for flail. I'm like, where is it? And then I misspelled it as fail. The fail of thing.
You failed to spell it correctly. All right.
So then,
Uh,
then we'll open up the doors.
they do not move, and it does feel like they're latched. It's not like they're obstructed.
Okay.
Um, but you push on them, and they have more give than if they were latched. And
Mm,
through a crack, you can see that someone has tied them off with rope that has seen better days.
okay. And just pull out a dagger and try to slice that rope if I can get it through the door.
Yep, takes a little bit of doing to reach it. You're trying to be as quietly as you can so as not to draw any more attention to yourself than the screech of Falcon and the crash of bodies. It cuts open. They swing open fine. Um, here they are. These doors also are adorned very heavily with religious imagery. Um, there is an image and a two panel image, right? That the doors complete. That is three kings um, listening to. Apparently, their backs are to us in the image, and they are their hands are raised as though asking questions, and there before them stand. Well above them, like massive form, is the Iron Empress on one side and the eagle on another, and both of them are speaking. Um, there's other imagery, but again, someone's just had their fun with it, knocked off heads or sort of obscured heads where they could, or taken sharp objects and put on mustaches, their penises drawn, this kind of thing.
How
Um,
big are the penises? It's very
bigger than
important.
yours,
Damn.
and I'm referring to Brise.
I make them smaller.
I used to carry a Sharpie with me, and then when I would find, especially racist graffiti, I would go through and change the graffiti to be absolute nonsense.
Wow.
So, like if it was a swastika, like as that's an example, a swastika, I would make it a 3x3 grid, which is really easy to
Yeah.
do, and then I would do tic tac toe in it,
Oh wow.
and so that was
that's
really fun to
that's
do.
really nice. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like anything, let's say the N word, right?
Mhm.
Well, you can make those G's, you can make those eights, or you can make it like a B, a capital
Mhm.
B, and then you make the N, you can make it like a capital R, and the word just becomes nonsense.
Ribber.
Yeah, and it's like what,
That's
and
fun.
so I really enjoyed doing that. That was fun. Oh, and you also make an N and H, a lowercase h.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many great things you can do. And they're just like, whoever comes back goes, I can't fix this. What is it even talking about?
Exactly.
Anyway, I had a good time doing
Have you
that.
seen the really funny meme variations of it where someone's drawing Bluetooth logo, but the way you draw it, it kind of looks like you're drawing a swastika for the first like 4 or 5 strokes, and then you draw like the tall line down the middle, and you're like, Whew, okay.
That's fantastic.
So funny. There's so many like variations on it too.
The tension builds.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Okay, so yeah, we slice through this and gently push the doors open and send my floating lantern in. See what I can
yeah, I should check for
see.
light here. So there's a little bit of light that spills through the doorway. You're in a large, I mean, it's kind of an irregular hallway, really.
Mm.
Sort of like a intersection where they're trying to serve multiple purposes. So directly ahead, there's a 5 foot wide stairway that goes up.
Okay.
Um, to to the left of that, across the way, is a set of double doors that are partially open. They're about 45 degrees. Um, um, and then so the space sort of opens up, and there is, to the right of the stairs, there's a door that is partially cracked. It's got, a foot or so
Mm.
open. And as the hallway opens to your right, we put you through the doors in the space. Um, and then this hall that goes deeper into the temple, there are numerous doors sort of behind you to the right. Um, most of them are closed. There's one 3 doors down that is cracked, and then
Okay.
there's another one that's closed. So I actually I think I've told you, I went through and I rolled the state of every
Yeah,
door.
all these doors. I'm glad we have that information. So let's start with the one on my left, just if I can peer through those and what I can
So
see.
ahead and to the left, as you
Right.
cross, and just checking your surroundings and listening, you see, oh, there's a door actually behind you and to the left, as well as in front of you and to the left.
Oh, okay.
It is closed. Um, from what and there's light spilling in to this to the double doors that you're approaching. That room has pretty good lighting, um, and there are remnants of very fine shelves with the much of the religious imagery that you would expect: images of the maze, images of serpents. Lower down, you would see images of the birds and so on. Your first instinct is right away, it's a library, and periodically people have simply harvested it for wood. But they're really very high end. The work is beautiful. Now I'm putting you just in the doorway and looking around.
Yeah.
I haven't really now. So there's 2 windows to your left, evenly spaced on this wall. This room is almost 30 by 25. I mean, it's a
Mm.
big room. Um, and
We'll walk inside and investigation.
so ahead, ahead and to the right corner of the room, there's a closed door. You've got windows, like I said, looking out.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I've parked some creature icons on that porch that you can see through the porch. You can see through those windows, and it's going to really distract me. I need to move these creature icons elsewhere. I just had copied them so that
Hey,
if I
what are
move
those
them,
icons through the window? I see. I see.
exactly, they're moving. They're being moved by an arrow shaped.
The black arrow.
The
Oh no.
black. That is funny because, of course, the pointer is black. That is so
Yeah.
funny.
I gotta dodge it. It's if you accidentally touch me with it, it's game over.
So you just get this sudden weird sense about how weird would it be if you found your sex symbol here. How weird would that be?
It would be weird, yeah.
Because you're like, man, like how long has this thing been going on? I mean, your thought was, what was it, like 60, 70 years ago? Is that how old your religious
Yeah.
stuff
Let me
is?
double check. I need to pull up
Should
my.
be in the back here
I think it
on
was like
my.
maybe 200 years.
Maybe it has been longer. Oh, 1 moment, people. 1 moment. Oh, here it is. Oh God, I'm assuming beat you to it.
150 years. The society's been searching the land for um, these sites.
Right. 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 So 150 years is the age of the cult. The text that it's based on is 600 years old.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But no, but that's just the text. You're
Right.
correct. Yeah, the 9 stars is what we're searching for. So the
Well, I guess on that note, I didn't find any reference of when I skimmed through Oshekra's notes. Right, there wasn't really any reference to Nargas, or except for it was all in the Elven states, right?
right, yeah, Elven States and Theaxia.
Yeah, Anthiaxia. So I
Every
wouldn't
major city in those
basically,
three.
I wouldn't expect to find something here, but could still happen. Some random.
Right. It's just a weird, when you see all these religious symbols, and you're
Yeah,
like, you remember you saw one time in a library at the base of a shelf someone had carved.
I do recall that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what brought it to my mind. And I rolled to see if it would come to your mind. I rolled a 75. So I was like, yeah, it
Yeah.
just kind of pops in your head and you're like, oh, that would be that's too much. It's too much
Too
to put
much.
in that.
Not even gonna hope for it because
All right. Um,
questions.
um, you find yourself in sort of a weird feeling, right? Because on one hand, you're like, the Iron Empress, it's a shame that all this beauty of all this woodwork had to go to waste, be destroyed, turned to firewood, right?
Yeah.
But on the one hand, oh, she's sort of a dark god and who's giving you trouble. And then you're like, no, she isn't giving me trouble.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you're like, it
Oh,
just brings up the fact that Volshad, this necromancer, is mimicking um, the return of the Iron Empress to
right.
gather power.
Right.
Um,
It's the second coming of the Iron Empress.
that's hilarious. I like that a lot. I should make a color for. I was trying to. I need a color code dead enemies. I should probably look to color code those. Um, so I'm not like, oh my gosh, what monster have I forgotten in the sanctuary? Oh, it's a dead one. Don't worry about it. Um,
So
um,
remind me again. You said there is another set of doors.
there's a single door
Single door.
um, across the room on the far side of the room, sort of down the bottom. So to the sort of the right corner of the room, um, there's a closed door. What would you like to do?
We'll go over and open that up. So again, nothing really in this room except for those kind of the remnants of those shelves.
Yeah, you can imagine. I mean, it looks like. I mean, about 2/3, 3/4 of them are just completely gone. You would not be surprised if this room was completely filled with these shelves, and now what's left of them is, 6 or 8 in a row.
Right.
One of them's already been hacked. Halfway gone. This beautiful, heavy, dark wood with all this great art. And, people use them for, it's better than going and chopping down a tree or gathering firewood. They just
Yeah.
chop them up. And
It's already dry.
yeah. So you go to the door, it's closed.
Mm-hmm.
Roll for me.
72.
You notice that this wall that the door is on, the wall furthest from the double doors that you entered in,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually cracked from ceiling to floor.
Mm.
Um, and then you notice that the door is slightly bowed toward you, and you're thinking there must be an enormous amount of weight, and that that door is ready to burst. I mean, not that you're in danger, but I mean, uh,
Right. Should not probably go through there.
I
So
mean,
this is
you
I'm
can
still kind of at the front of the temple, right?
right,
Yeah.
but apparently it took some blows,
Yeah.
and it must have some rocks that have tumbled after those blows and are now um, resting on the floors above. But you could hack a hole through it if you wanted to look through it. I mean, if it goes, I mean, I guess you just have to run for it. But uh,
Yeah, I'm not gonna take that risk.
okay,
We'll turn back around.
sure.
Yeah. Um,
So if you
so
go back out into sort of the
I may leave no stone unturned, but I'm not gonna look at every door.
buddy. All
Um,
right. So if you go back out into the hallway
right. So
area,
there's two other doors on the left, right, that are both closed.
there's two on the left across the hall from you that are closed. There's one sort of almost directly ahead, slightly to the right. That one
Yeah.
is closed. Um, and it's right across from this room that looks out onto the porch. So if it has a window, it should also look out onto the porch.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go explore that one then.
Listen, no sound. There's um, it's either locked or otherwise malfunctioning. It will not open.
Okay. We'll try a an unlock spell here. So open first level spell. We're just gonna try. Does it? Forgot if I could tell if it's a magically locked at all, or no? Can I not tell that just by kind of?
I it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think there's a way you could tell without a detection spell.
Okay, so we'll just try and open, and I'm going to put in an extra 4 levels of power points.
Okay.
So we get 5 power points total.
All right. Roll it up.
17.
Wow. Spell fails. You lose the power points. No, you wouldn't. You
We lose the
stop yourself.
exhaustion.
It's just a failed attempt, but you don't lose power points or exhaustion.
Oh,
Roll again and give it a
well
go.
then I try it again. 99. That's more than
Roll again and add it.
plus 92.
Holy crap.
Girl goes flying off the hinges.
Um, Despite the extra power, and it's a experience worthy moment for you.
Mm,
You see what a truly excellent casting can do. You lose 1 power point and 1 exhaustion.
very nice.
You hear the lock click. What would you like to do?
I'll open that guy up now.
Open it up, light streaming through, kind of a moldy window that's barred. Um, so irritating is I can't because I have to lock the layer, right? So I don't accidentally,
Right.
change rooms and so on. I mean, that's great. I get that. But why can't I just select items and it show me the label on the item? Because that would be super helpful.
Very nice.
But it doesn't do that. And so I have to click on it. So, yeah, it opens up and you just peer in. It's a nice, large 20 by 20 room. So, like a large bedroom um, in size. It's square. There is a nice desk there, no chair. Um, and, your familiarity with temples, you're thinking this has got to be an officiant's office, maybe someone who watches out for the library, answers questions, whoever's on post kind of thing, serving the library. This is where they would have been. There are, again, people have carved up the top of the desk. A lot of boredom and vandalism here. Um, and with your spectacles of sophistication, um, it's interesting. It is names you recognize them as names that are common in PIN. It is listings. It's like a roster that they've carved into this thing.
Hmm.
Um, They have X's beside some names, they have question marks beside others, and there's no mark beside a lot of them. But there's a list of like 30 names and ranks. Fairly Captain is the highest rank. He has an X beside it. Um, there's a day count listed. There's two day counts. One is days, mission days, and the other one is temple days.
Hmm. Okay.
The mission days is 22, and the hatch marks for the temple days are 4.
Someone should have just gotten some pencil and paper, man. This is a lot of work to carve all this into a nice wooden desk.
They just hate the pen are notorious for hating furniture. What? Why would you even say that?
Furniture of the Iron Empress. Does that? I mean, I'm not thinking of anything. I don't know if Brise thinks of anything that could mean. 22 mission days. I guess mission is in like a task they were assigned to, and
Right.
maybe 4 days stationed at the temple. Yeah.
So I don't know. Roll for me. I
Hard to
got a low.
know. Yeah, 70.
So just sort of going over it, and looking at it and thinking about it. They're really kind of deep in for any kind of pin action, because it should
Yeah.
be several miles. And so you're wondering, was this a scouting mission? The 30 men, and they just got turned around in the mountains.
Hmm.
And so it took them, 18 days just to find this place, having no idea where it was, and then they stayed here.
Right.
And then, they just sort of, had fun with the
Right.
place.
Right. Trying to keep track of things, and yeah.
Right. Defacing, just in their boredom about when,
Yeah.
deciding what to do because they can't get caught.
Yeah, it might be 22 days of the mission, and then 4 days they spent in this temple.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
So
Keep
it would
track.
be at 18 days they reach this place, which it shouldn't take 18 days to reach from the Penn borders. It shouldn't take 18 days to reach this place. Well, I mean, barring roads, it might. So they may have been wandering around and just like, we need shelter. And they
Yeah.
come across this place some years ago. And, they probably had to clear it out as you've had to clear it out, or they barred creatures into certain corners, right?
Right.
Anything unnatural that they just like, we're not going to deal with that. And they either chased it out, burned it out, whatever.
Hmm.
And then they just kind of made camp here until they could figure out what to do, hoping not to get caught by any Narga's patrols during whatever action this was.
Right.
Um, and so that seems to be the most logical. Um,
Okay.
shall we take a break?
Yeah. Well, you want to? Is there anything else in this room to explore still? Or?
No, there's no doors. It is indeed the window to the front porch.
Okay.
This is the far side of the front porch. So yeah,
Well, let's
so
take a
we
break.
yeah
Continue exploring the rest of the hallway.
yeah, so we'll be right back after we stretch our legs and refresh our drinks, and we will continue exploring the temple. So bear with us, guys. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody. We are grateful that you hung out with us while we stretched our legs a bit. So let me get back to the map and to
Yeah,
Brise's brave
to just
exploration.
exploring this office. And so I think, is there one more door on this kind of side of the hallway?
Well, as you face down the hallway, um, and I'm gonna have to be careful locking and unlocking this stuff. I gotta figure out. I guess I'm gonna have to start using putting text because right now what I've done is I've just labeled the rooms in the item listings
Mm.
in the sidebar as opposed to going onto a text layer and layering in.
Yeah. You put some text in the room so you know exactly.
Yeah, but it was just as quick. Well, it was quicker to do it the other way.
Right.
And so now, with this clicking problem, I realize because I don't want to accidentally click on a room and move it. But so yeah, so as back out in the hallway, once you get beyond the double doors, to your what is now to your right, you've got the stairs to your left that go up.
Right.
You've got, and then you've got a partially open door ahead and to the left. You've got two closed doors about 20 feet ahead of you to the right, and
Okay.
then further down, a partially open door to the left.
All
Sorry,
right.
to
So
the
let's do
right.
the door on the left across from me. Check that out.
So sneaky sneak. Um, well, this is no doubt where the majority of the men slept. You have to have your lantern here. There's no light from anywhere. Um, it's a very long room. It's as long as the supposed library, somewhat narrower. So it's about
Yeah.
30 feet long. And you can see that there are the aged remnants of backpacks and bedrolls and so on. Um, at least some of the men um, didn't make it back to retrieve their belongings, but clearly others did because they are those objects are missing.
Hmm.
Um, so you can see, okay, obviously this person slept here, and then there's a hole. But then if you understand what I'm saying,
I
um,
think so. It's like some of the spots someone slept there, but there's no equipment or anything. Like,
right? And so something either chased them out where they couldn't do it, or some of these men left. Maybe they left early
right.
um, on a mission and then didn't return, or the guys here for something happened to them and they couldn't gather their gear, and
Right.
maybe they were ambushed by the goblins. That's also possible. 20 years ago, finding a site of a battle in this undergrowth and so on, that's going to be a chore. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
We'll just kind of look through, up and down the room, see if any stuff of interest has been left behind. Journals. I guess probably most of the stuff would be worn and, illegible by now anyway.
um, you do find a
I got to
map.
remember, I have my lore spells as well. Sorry, go ahead.
So, as you enter the room, the door swings open to the right.
Mhm.
There is a closed door ahead and to the right, almost to the very end of the room. And also, there seems to be a hallway at the very end of the room going deeper into the temple.
Okay.
Um, there's also bits of plaster and so on from the ceiling, and the ceiling is cracked here as well. And it is the ceiling, the plaster has fallen um, onto these bed rolls and so on. So at least the last landslide, rock slide happened, after they left.
Yeah.
Um, as you make it deeper in and look sort of behind you, there's an open door right behind the door you came in. Um,
Okay.
so you stop real quick, listen, kind of grip your weapon because it's kind of a surprise. Um, but you figured something would have seen your light by now, and there's nothing coming. Um, so you make your way through the stuff, just kind of kicking, bed rolls over and moving some backpacks, and like they just kind of fall apart largely. But you do find a map case.
Okay.
It opens without a problem. There is a large leather map in it, um, of southern Nargaz, not unlike the one that I still owe you that Verlag gave you with adventure sites on it.
Yeah. Naomi too, man.
Yeah. Um, and there's lots of notation on it. You put on your spectacles, and um, it's clearly a history of them getting lost.
Okay.
Um, so they were searching for two separate mines in two different areas of southern Nargaz. And they must have overshot them by leagues. One was a diamond mine. Um, and it looks like an effort maybe to try to deprive the goblins of much needed income during the war.
Yeah.
And the other was a mithril mine.
Oh wow.
Um, Most of these are in southwest Nargaz, some miles from the border, and you can see just effort after effort um, where they anticipated a landmark or town, and you
Right.
see, no doubt this is the sort of the navigator for them, and he writes, "Where's the valley with the double bridge? No double bridge here."
I know how those guys feel.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Um, and then there's also markings um, of watching troop movement from the goblins. And they tracked for 2 days um, a the march of what it was is listed here as Tepananu's army.
Hmm.
You know that Tepananu is the father of the present queen of the goblins.
Oh, wow.
Tepananu died 16 years ago, and the present queen, whose name I keep meaning to have a cheat sheet for Nargos so I can just pop this information
Like
out.
you've mentioned their name before, but I do forget.
Yeah, I do too. Let me hop to my nations database.
Kind of like forgetting the name of the president, you know?
It is awkward, especially when you've made the president. That's the
I, you
real.
know, I don't worry, I forget the names of my characters in my books, and then I'll introduce a new character, and then I'll call them that name, and then I'm like, wait a second, why do I have two characters with the same name?
Right.
It
Uh,
happens.
yes. Brebian is the present queen. That's her last name. That's the family name. Olwara is her. So I guess if you say Queen Victoria, I guess that is. Although they use regal names in England, right? They don't use their given name; they choose a name. Here, that is not the case. So I guess you might refer to them as Queen Alwara, Alwarra, if you're interested. So um, this would be the oldest. Um, um, uh, what is the word? Offspring, but there's another word for it. Anyway,
Eldest.
right of of Tepananu.
Mhm.
Um, and so clearly this had to be more than 16 years ago, which kind of fits with what you were thinking. Like, it had to be
Right.
maybe 20 to 30 years ago, um, their last conflict.
Okay.
Um, and whether he actually led this army or if it's just generally his army because it's a
Oh,
Narguzian army, a goblin army, it's hard to say. Um,
yeah. Okay. Good
um,
little piece of history. Yeah.
I should leave that up. I should print this out or something. Anyway, so I should go back to the thing. I was going to be looking at my map. So let me move you into the room and have you killed. What?
What? I was
Uh,
going to say, is this map case just kind of a plain, map case? Is it nicely?
it has really, it's really, I mean, survived the ages very
Mm.
nicely. Um, you're a little worried because it looks like there's religious markings on it, and you
Mhm.
don't know if it would. You don't know enough about the pin faith about whether or not it would be um, offensive to carry this thing around. But you could. I don't know. You could have some of that leather work redone. Um, um, but it has two copies of the same map,
Sure.
and one is marked on and one is not.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I might as well take one of the maps just for heck of it.
yeah,
It's a cool little piece of history. I'll put it in my satchel here.
yeah, fold it up. And you
Pouch.
want the marked one or the unmarked one?
The marked one.
Okay. So there's a hallway that goes off to the right, off the right corner of the room, and goes
Okay.
deeper into the
Well,
temple.
what about the door that I just passed? We'll peek in there.
It's Yeah, sure. Oh, here we go. Let's see. All right, right. So you go in there. It has brackets on the wall that clearly held shelves. It's a small room, kind of like a small bedroom, square again, and I should have thought about to be any evidence of that last room's original use because it's been 5,000 years and so many people have come through here. I don't guess
Yeah,
so.
I kind of assumed it was a bunk for the guards that then maybe the Penn soldiers just reused, but
Right.
might be something else. You're right.
Clearly, this is for supplies, but not for weapons. The brackets are clearly for shelves, and there are still shelves remaining. The room is large enough to support shelves in the center, but there aren't any. Your guess is that these shelves, made it to the fire.
Yeah.
Um, and
Quinn
um,
is disappointed about the lack of Zoidberg, by the way. You might want to throw him in. I don't know if he's in super
Zoidberg. Now, what is Zoidberg's role in this temple? Is what one is forced to ask.
That
Um,
does remind me, though, is that I've only seen maybe like a handful of Futurama episodes, and I have two coworkers who just they swear by it. It's such a great show, and they're going to force me one day to watch all the episodes. Going so far as to kidnap me and force me to watch all the episodes. So every other day, I'll get like a message in the chat like, "Hey, we're making plans to reserve a meeting room for 24 hours and at work and kidnap me."
it is a hoot. I mean, it really
Yeah.
is
I
a hoot.
really should like just sit down and watch a bunch of them.
It's so enjoyable. And of course, there's a new season coming out in August after
Right, right.
many years. But I mean, some of those moments in there that are Bender, there's this car. They're in a car, and the car is plunging off a cliff, and Bender is in it, the robot, right? And all the
Right.
other main characters in it. And Bender says, "Don't worry, I'll save me." And
They don't.
uh, it's so great. They really do have there's a unique feel to that show that no other
Good
show has.
dialogue. Yeah. Very, very
Oh
witty.
man.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so clearly some sort of storage room. Um,
Okay. So we'll go out and so then there was the hall that goes deeper in the temple and one more door.
right. So as you come out along this same wall that this door was on, there is a closed door.
Yeah, we'll check that one.
So you pause at that door because you also want to listen more down that hallway. Um, And there is sound of movement, not in the room. It's coming from beyond the hallway that is beyond that door.
Right. The other hallway. Okay.
Yeah, it's a narrow. It's a, it's sort of a typical hallway. It's you can touch both sides of it, whereas a lot of these are really broad hallways meant for larger crowds or moving things through, or of course just presentation, just sort of a sense of awe. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's investigate the movement first, since that seems more pressing. I'll, keep my flail close to hopefully it doesn't jingle too much, and sneak toward the sound, kind of trying to piece together what it is and where it's coming from.
yeah. All right. So roll. Let me grab your sheet.
Sneak.
All right. So roll your sneaky sneak.
83.
Nice. Very quiet. Um, Peer around the edge of the hallway. Nothing there. There is a slight smell of that sort of sulfur.
Yeah.
It's not quite sulfur, but it's as close as you can come to identifying it, to describing it. Um, there are also clear indications that something has disturbed the dust in this hallway back and forth. There's plaster having fallen in this hallway too. It has been clearly been moved. And looking at it, whatever it is not very large. Like it's like a dog has been running through here. Something with with paws or claws. Um, the size of a medium-sized dog is the what you think of the claw size. Um,
Medium-sized dog. Jeez, Kevin, I'm getting out of here. This temple's too dangerous. Medium-sized dogs everywhere.
we were at a Memorial Day party, and this woman was telling a story about she had this little dog, and
Mhm.
she loved it. And when it died, she got its paw print as a tattoo on her belly. Well, then
Oh,
she got pregnant, and of course, it stretched as all natural and beautiful women should do. And then her kid, 6 or 8 years later, this little kid, her child, looks at the tattoo and goes, "Oh my God, how big was your dog, mommy?" And,
that's funny.
and we were like, "Is it Dogzilla? What is going on?
Yeah, man. Jeez.
What is a Siberian bear?" you know. Um, my dear sir,
Yeah. So, I mean, do we continue to hear the movement? Is it getting louder, or I'll keep
it's
down low?
just scurrying around. Your light has cast down the hallway into a room. That room has a door open. It seems to be a relatively small room, about the size of the storage room. It's There is light um, coming through from the other side as well, and it appears to be a hallway beyond that door, toward the far side of the temple, where the rock slide is, and indeed, those appear to be rocks that have thrown that door open. So that whole side must be just crushed.
Okay.
All three levels must have just collapsed, and rocks have actually spilled through.
Mm.
Um, so it's actual sunlight you're seeing, you think, coming through from the roof. And then a little, I don't know, 2 foot long little lizard. It is 6 legged. It walks very low to the ground, very much like this, right?
Yeah.
Legs splayed. It is 6 legged. It's a very pretty sort of green, like the what they call the American chameleon. You know that
Mm.
What's the real names? I can't even remember. Annual? Is that what it's
A
called?
knoll, yeah.
A knoll. A knoll.
Yeah.
That pretty green. That's what it is. It also has
Yeah.
that fine, very fine scaling that almost makes it look smooth. It has a very cheery little face. It
Hmm.
has there are sharp little claws on it. It has large eyes, this sort of round, sort of flat head. Um, its tail is curved and then clubbed. It curves up and is
Right.
clubbed, but there is sort of a hole in the club.
Interesting.
Um,
This sounds a lot like a lizard that might be able to shoot something from its tail that I was warned about by Halix, the
right.
little fairy. Although what's really funny is that she said it was as big as my horse. Now I'm realizing that the Fae probably have no sense of
Roll for me.
scale. 9.
Yeah, it's true. They may not know what they're talking about. I mean, they.
Wow. Okay. So I come across this little thing. I mean, yeah, I'll kind of just does it notice I'm here, and how does it
Nope.
react? I'll try to-
It sort of glances like at the fact that there's light, but it doesn't glance up at you. Where your heads can just barely peek around the corner.
Right.
And it scurries back onto the rocks right by the door, and then up and out into what appears to be a hallway.
Okay. Well, that thing really doesn't seem all that dangerous, so I might just avoid it for now. And if I have to confront it, then so be it.
Okay.
So we'll continue down. So I was reading Quinn's comments about lobsters, and it kind of got missed. You were explaining. So this hallway ends uh,
Into that room.
into the storage room. So we'll go into the
No,
storage.
well, into the room that is the same size as that
Oh,
storage
same
room.
size as the storage room. Sorry. So yeah, we'll go into there.
Okay. There I go. I did my first move the damn room. All right, let me check. See. Okay, great. Roll for me while I'm doing stupid
Sure.
stuff.
3.
Okay. That's not a bad. I mean, it's not a bad roll or a good roll. It's neither. Okay, there. All right. So now I should be able to grab you without. Nope. Oh my god! I keep grabbing the room. I thought I locked it. I thought I locked that layer.
Stop moving the rooms.
I know. And there's
Wait.
so many objects on this layer. I mean, so many. Oh, that's why. That's
Do
why.
you merge some of the room layers? Usually on drawing programs, there's just a hotkey to merge a layer down. You can.
Well, the thing is, though, that's the thing is that a locked layer won't let you just click on an item and see what you've labeled it. And that's my problem is because I've gone ahead and labeled it by the original purpose
I
so
see.
that I know
If
what
you
to
want to
expect.
remove. Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
it won't let me just select it, even if I don't want to change it,
Yeah.
which I think is a problem. Like, because I would let you select it if I designed the program, select a locked item, but
Right.
you can't affect it. Like, I would even let you copy it, but they won't
Yeah,
let you.
you can still copy just anything that's read only.
Right.
Do.
So you sort of, make your way quietly down the hallway. You don't want, you don't want to attract its attention again. It's, um, it just opens up into a moderate sized room. Sure enough, there's rocks outside. There's vegetation growing here and there in between the rocks. This happened a good while ago. So you've got vines and you've got bushes and things like that. Some small trees, barely making it in the limited soil between the rocks. Um, that's just sort of standing at the sort of the back wall of the room, so as not to
Right.
just stick your nose into the hallway there. Um, what would you like to do? You do still have the room, the closed door back in the sort of the sleeping quarters of this
Right.
pen.
Right. And so it kind of seems like this is a dead end since this landslide.
Well, you can climb out on those rocks. There's no question. There's enough
Yeah.
room And so you could do that, and you could climb all the way possibly to
Well,
the
yeah,
outside.
let's climb up and get a bit of advantage. So we'll climb just maybe scramble up the rocks of 10 feet or so and just see what I can see looking back. I guess I would see some kind of cross section of the temple.
So you make your way to the outside, and that little dude is quiet because you did not hear him, and you crawl up one rock and then two rocks, and you are face to face with him.
Huh.
I mean, he is
Hey, little
18
buddy.
inches away from your nose.
Wow.
Um, his tail moves quickly towards you and then sort of relaxes, and he looks at you. Um, and you see that he's chewing, and you can see it's like the remnants of a dragonfly. It's a larger insect.
Hmm.
And beyond him is this reddish pink crystal that looks like it was splattered against a rock, trapping the rest of the insect. And he basically shot it, trapped the back part of it, and then ate the rest of it, leaving the rest of it trapped in, I don't know, lizard amber. I don't know what you want to call it.
Interesting. So I mean that reddish pink stuff seems like it came from his tail. Then I would assume that's what.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And face to face with him, he sure does smell like sulfur and cinnamon. And you're wondering if it's him or the crystal that gives off the smell.
Okay. Well, I will back away a little bit and kind of angle away from his tail in case he decides to.
I mean, he seems pretty docile. I mean, he's
Really?
almost
Okay. Okay.
adorable.
Okay. Well, then,
Um,
yeah. If he doesn't seem like he's gonna act or anything, I'll kind of approach the crystal and take a closer look at that.
you would have to go beyond him to do that. That
Like,
might be too much.
right? I can't go around him, maybe.
There's just not a lot of room right here where you are. You could go further up and then kind of wait for him to leave and then come back down.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just kind of go further past him and.
okay. So it's funny because I just got some of these rooms done that you're looking at now.
Yeah, I know
Uh,
you kind of told me about like first floor is more complete than the rest. I'm just
First
taking.
floor is completely done,
Yeah.
and I'm working on the second floor. But you're exactly in the area where I've done a lot of work today.
Okay.
So yeah, so you climb up and out, um, and just in looking, there seems to be remnants of. So this is beyond the rock fall, um, and where it sort of levels. The land itself is leveled off, and so on. You're pretty sure you're seeing breaks in the vegetation that are like lines,
Mm,
and here and there you can see bits of masonry and wall.
okay.
Um, and you're pretty sure leaned up against a tree, there is a concrete bench.
Okay.
And so this may be, as is not uncommon among temples, this may be garden works that were served this temple.
Right.
It's also possible that this could have been orchard to serve the temple, or I mean, it could be multiple things
Hmm.
simultaneously. I guess is what I mean, including herb garden somewhere in there. Now, surely the herbs are long gone, or they're covering everything. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's
Mhm.
5,000 years, and it seems unlikely. But so turning back to face the temple, I have to hide these layers now. Oop. Oh, wrong one. Oop. Oop. Oh, that's why. So,
It's a snake garden. That's what the irony
that would
is.
be hilarious.
Had like hundreds of snakes.
Right. So it looks like, I mean, you can see breaks here and there. I mean, you get a sense of the outline of the temple, and it looks like a
Yeah.
good 30 feet of the temple was crushed and collapsed
Okay.
by the rock slide, a little more deeper in. And of course, less so where it's simply, built into the base of the hill.
Right.
That, unless, of course, it just collapsed in there from whatever caused the rock slide, but that seems unlikely.
Right.
Um, so, from your vantage point, let me just actually turn you around so I can speak.
Yeah.
So, turn you around, you and Nalani. So, roll for me. I guess you could really.
26.
So there's several just large openings. Um, so
Right.
basically, right where the porch ends, as it tapers down to meet the temple,
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of the beginning of the destruction.
Mm.
Uh, and um, and so there are just several large areas that are now just sort of open to things.
Right.
Um,
Exposed.
and so some of the rooms are 30 feet and then they go deep in. You really can't see very far into them. Um, Another one has remnants of its wall still standing. Whatever room actually had the windows is gone,
Yeah.
but you can actually see into it. It's a large room, 30 by 30 or something. You can actually see an open door at the back.
Okay.
Uh, and a similar story going down where sometimes it's a small room clearly meant for storage. You can see there's still shelving in there that is
Mm.
tumbled and rotted by rain.
Yeah.
Um, and um, and at the front corner, which is not squared off, it's got a little taper to it.
Mm-hmm.
There appeared to be a triangular storage room there, and you can see the shelving there actually has fallen amongst the rocks.
Yeah.
Um, and there are chains and things hanging from those walls where they might have, hung tools and things like that.
Mm.
Um, in that really large room, the 30 by 30 room, which is directly in front of you, if you turn to 90, perpendicular this um, to this outer wall, this far wall. Um, there does seem to be a mist emanating from that room sporadically. Um, so it, um, so something is generating mist in there, and your guess is the wind is sort of playing with it
Oh, sure. Yeah.
until a figure briefly comes into view and then passes away, passes out of view. And clearly that creature is generating the mist.
Mm. When you say comes into view, kind of like comes out of the room and goes back into the room.
So keep in mind you're kind of looking up, right? And
Yeah. Oh, I
so
see. So I might kind of.
so if
Yeah.
it goes deeper into the room, especially if it goes deeper and into the left, you just can't see it because remnants of the wall that are still standing. And
Okay.
so as it passes that area, you just can't see it. The figure was, you swear it was transparent. You also swear it was kind of humanoid, but that head definitely was not. It was a very broad, flat head. I mean, as wide as your shoulders,
Yeah.
but only about as tall as your hands.
Does that kind of creature ring a bell? Any
No.
sound? Okay. We can climb up a little higher and get a better vantage. I can kind of see that creature better in that room.
As you do, you see evidence of this lizard's hunting.
Yeah.
Um, it's um, it's made its mark here and there, um, but also as you climb higher, and you're sort of distracted by different sources of
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
um, you feel like an idiot. It's not the Fae's sense of size. It's that you haven't met Mama yet.
No.
There is a tree deeper in the garden that you can now see,
Mama.
and you're pretty sure that's half a wild boar trapped in this sort of pink amber, and the rest of it has been eaten away. You could not wrap your arms around the amount of
Wow.
this reddish pink crystal. And it is like, I mean, it's just like it was thrown and froze in place. They, tend to aim for the rear end, and then they eat whatever they can eat. But whatever it did, it ate half a wild boar and was able to stop a wild boar in its tracks.
Yeah. Wow. I don't want to mess with that.
So the Fae just didn't know or didn't find it important to mention that it's a mama.
The mama.
Going back to our ephemeral, I don't know if ephemeral is the right word, our ethereal, that's the word I'm looking for. Our ethereal figure um, you realize as you're climbing higher, there's no question you'll be able to get a good view of it, but you are totally exposed.
Mm.
Now it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 or 60 feet away.
Okay.
Pretty close when it comes to
Yeah.
and
Well, then maybe I'll send Alani out instead of making myself visible. Right. Just kind of crouch down on the rocks and sort of fly up and just see what she can see. This
up
mist man.
up she goes.
Mhm.
The creature is considerably taller, probably a foot or more taller than you are. Um, it has a sort of the bulbous gut of a goblin, sort of the thin, sort of sallow chest of a goblin with then a pot belly.
Mm.
But this in 7 to 8 feet range. Its hands are very broad, and here it in its hands, which have more fingers than usual, but you can't quite get a count because there's a lot of questions going on. It carries a set of almost like large rosary beads that hang probably 2 feet down. It rubs one contemplatively um, as it sort of floats. It doesn't really move its feet, which are sandaled. The skin is brown, very dark brown. The head, like I said, is very flat. There's a broad mouth. And there are sort of slits here, but no apparent eyes. There are two long slits in the middle. Those seem to be breathing. But all of this is partially transparent. You can translucent, I guess, is the true word.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can see, and Nalani can see through it.
There's a lot of properties about this creature. Okay. Two
There's a lot of, yeah,
rows
this
through
is,
these glides across. Or down. Skin, sandaled feet. Eye slits, but no eyes.
it has killed at least two of the baby, what should we call them? Amber lizards?
Yeah, crystal lizards. Yeah.
And they hang from his back belt. He has clearly been eating on one of them because only the tail and two legs remain. He stops, becomes opaque, pulls from his belt the remnant of a baby lizard, and a mouth opens of teeth that swing out. The mouth is, of course, enormous and opens in an O. And it puts it in there and closes.
What is this thing?
And there is just a sickening sound of a snip. Like you cannot believe how easily it just bit through that thing.
Wow, bone and all, and scales.
It has not seen you. And there is no sign of eyes. Its clothes are robe-like, but its belt is a series of metal plates, metal rectangles, silver. There's some emblems on some of the squares. There's a horn, either a horn for drink or a musical horn. It's a cow horn shape, but
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a container or an instrument, you can't tell. It hangs from uh, this belt as well. What would you like to do?
Any weapons or anything at his belt either? I mean, I
No.
feel like he doesn't need any, whatever this thing is.
Yeah, I just
Um, well, I'm wondering. I mean, obviously, this thing is intelligent somehow. I'm wondering if kind of reminds you of like the Dark Lash from the um,
right from the
Goblin Manor. Maybe I could communicate with it somewhere, force it to leave. Obviously, he needs to get out of here. If Nalani watches it for another minute, what kind of behavior does it do? Just glides kind of in circles? Seems like it's looking for something or contemplating something.
definitely roll for me.
44.
The beads are apparently key. It rubs a bead and becomes translucent again, a different bead.
Huh.
A while later, as it's just sort of going back and forth, sort of this mist falling off of it continually. There's sort of almost a halo of it around it, but
Yeah.
there's a sense that it continually emits from everywhere, and so it sort of filled
Yeah.
that space to the best that the wind will let it. Um, but you see it choose a different bead, strikingly different shape. It's not round. It's I guess it would be an octahedron. So like an eight-sided dice, it is silver. There are clearly emblems on it, written in red, You don't recognize anything about it. He rubs that, and a shimmering sort of pain appears about 10 feet in front of him, and he gazes far out into the valley. And as he moves his head, the pain moves as well. And then he steps closer to it. These two longer slits on his head open, and eyes, these big yellow eyes, flip out. They are lidless. They are hemispheres, but you suspect the rest of the sphere is simply submerged. They're the size of grapefruit. And if he had eyelids, you would say he's squinting or peering. He's
Mm-hmm.
looking with great intent, leaning forward.
Damn it! I mean, I'm just gonna keep watching this guy. He keeps doing stuff. I'm learning as much as I can. I hope the audience enjoys this because I am rapt.
You are mesmerized, but you're still very much in. I mean, unless
Yeah,
you need to really go down further. If you
I'll keep Nalani, keep Nalani's eyes on him, and I'll kind of go down further.
All right, roll to be quiet.
61.
Not terrible.
I think we finally found Zoidberg.
Oh man.
Something like him. Oh my gosh. What is this guy doing?
Roll for me.
65.
So a couple of things that you're trying to get a grip on, and that is like if he's here intentionally, like where are his supplies?
Yeah.
Now maybe that a being like him is either, I mean, clearly he has abilities, but doesn't mean he's powerful. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe he can summon supply, whatever. But he's also foraging,
Right. Clearly, yeah. Yeah.
hunting, specifically. Um, and yet he's also peering. So is he like our pinned soldiers of decades past? Is he also lost and is now sort of searching for evidence of what
Right.
step to take next? Um, he doesn't even have a means of repose. He doesn't have a camp. He's not made a camp.
Right.
He doesn't have a bedroll. The room he's in, as far as you can tell, has no place for him to sit. I mean, it's all just cold floor, which may not matter if, um, I don't know. And of
Yeah.
course, he is also so alien. It's hard to make any generalization based on your own experience.
Right. They tried to go camping, but man, didn't super unprepared.
He's like, this Airbnb sucks.
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll never book another.
Had to eat lizards. I can't get any Wi-Fi with my
Exactly. Yeah.
my built-in screen.
9 stars.
9 stars. Yes.
That is hilarious. That is the only review that the Cult of the 9 Stars is allowed to leave.
9 stars. I wish I could give this 9 stars out of 5.
Um, so
So I can watch him for another minute or two with Nalani, see if his behavior
he
changes at all.
is he's a very strange character.
Mhm.
At some point he moves out of view Um, and there's the upper floor now will prevent Nalani from peering in unless you just have her land in that room. Um, now, I guess she could land. Let me see.
I'm a little worried because even if he doesn't suspect anything, it might be like, oh, food.
It's very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess there are vantages she could take 30 or 40 feet away from you. That would be, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 1.4, 8.4. So 84. So almost 100 feet away from him
Okay.
and just land on a rock. And she should be able to see almost all of that room.
Yeah, let's try that so she can at least get a view.
It's hard to, gauge this looking at a
Yeah,
2D map.
right. And again,
Um,
and then like a falcon's eyes, right, should be sharper than mine. So maybe to
right.
her it doesn't matter. Who knows? All these variables.
There is a very nice desk in this room,
Okay.
untouched by years of rain. Um, he goes and reclines upon it. And
Bed is not comfortable. 1 out of 5 stars.
exactly, 1 out of 9 stars. You got to be.
1 out of 9 stars. That's right.
Um, he appears to basically lie upon it. He has to sort of curl up, obviously. Um, a tail is seen um, that flicks sort of out from underneath his sort of robe-like garment. He's facing that far door that you saw deeper in the temple in this room, and so the top of his head is what Nalani can see mostly, and then kind of down the length of his body. But a tail, this black, more reptilian kind of tail. It looks scaly. It narrows. It seems to be ridged along the top edge. So you see it flick and then disappear. He is now he's now opaque.
Okay.
Um, the mist recedes gradually, and if you had to guess, he's asleep. Although his eyes are not closed, they are subsumed within his skull, as he is capable of doing.
He's really good at hide and seek.
That's it.
Count to 10. Um, all right. Well, we're gonna assuming he is fallen. Is there even a way for me to get into that room from this where I am on these rocks? Right? Could I kind of like hop over into that room, or is the gap
Mm.
too large? I mean, I could always just do a levitate spell and
Levitate would
bridge
work.
of
Roll
light.
for me.
74.
If you are correct, the large open space beyond where he is lying,
Mm-hmm.
that should be the landing for the stairs on the first floor that you've come across.
The landing of the stair. Oh, so
A
if I go up
narrow
those
stairway.
stairs, then I'll be right at his room.
You would go downstairs, you think, so you would climb back down. You would go down rock, not downstairs. You would go down rock,
Down rock,
go
back down.
back out to the ground floor, right? That area where those first double doors that you pushed
Right.
through, that you had to cut the rope. There was a narrow stairway. Well, just not
Right.
a typical stairway. It's 6 feet wide. And you would go up those steps, and you think that would lead to an area just beyond the room that he is now sleeping in.
Right. That is probably a better bet than trying to hop over these rocks into
I mean, levitate does have the advantage of being entirely silent.
right. Right.
The wind is calm.
Yeah. Well, given that he seems unaware of me and not facing that way anymore, as far as I can tell. I'll
Well,
climb back up.
he's not right. The top of his head is to you, but he is
Oh, I thought it.
facing.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so because it's the same, because Nalani is to your right, all right,
Right,
and
right.
ahead of you is the temple, and
Hmm.
she is over there looking. Sorry, why do I point way off camera? So she's over there,
Right.
about 40 or 50 feet away.
Yeah.
She is looking that way, deeper
Right.
into the room.
And then he is faced out of the room, kind of as
He
far as
is, yes, he's facing out of the room. Um, but I mean, you could drift over to what you hope is the landing, and then sneak over to the open door. Now, I mean, depending on what I mean, I've realized this, and I should address it now because I've realized this for years, and I couldn't articulate it until now. So, I've realized that players will make a plan to like get somewhere, but they won't take into account what they want to do when they get there.
right. Well, I haven't told you that yet. I have thought of it, but I
So,
want to. Well, it depends if he's sleeping. If he is sleeping, which I assume, I'm going to have my spear get as close as I can. Have him at spear point, and then ask him a couple of questions. Or
oh, okay,
if I can't communicate with him, force him to leave.
right. So you have a written form of universal communication, but you don't have.
Well, I do. I have a spell, tongues.
Okay, that's
Right?
what I was trying to think of. I was thinking
And I need
he's
I need
done this
my
before.
tome, right?
So I mean, you could back further up the rocks, more level with his floor, and just call out to him. You know what I mean? I
Well, but
mean,
I don't see the thing is I don't know if he's
I
a
agree.
good guy or not yet, so I don't want to alert myself to him. I think Brise is taking the position that hey, I need this temple cleared out. Let's
So he's got to go no matter
threaten
what.
this guy. Yeah, not attack him, but threaten him. And be
Yeah, you've got to urge his
trespassing
departure.
on holy ground. Yeah, you got to get
All
out of there.
right.
That's what the approach is going to be. Um, Now, yeah, if I encountered him somewhere else, like in the wild, then I might try to hail him and find out.
Right. All right.
So
So
yeah,
you're
okay.
gonna climb down and then go up the stairs.
Well, unless you think the levitate's a better choice, would be
Levitate
quiet.
is certainly going to be quieter, and I,
Right.
I mean, you would only have to levitate because you levitate basically at half your walking, so it'll be just over a round to make it to where you'd feel like it would be safe to land on
Yeah,
the landing.
yeah. Okay, let's do that then. Let's take the levitation route, and then once we kind of confront him, we can maybe call the session there and deal with all that next time.
Okay.
Yeah. Just so we're like, we know where everyone is in position because right now there's a lot of geometry that's
Well, I mean, of course, Nalani will return to your shoulder. You cast the levitate,
right.
so you want to roll that up. Then we'll roll you sort of a maneuver.
61.
No problem.
Level
Take
spell.
off exhaustion and power points if,
Yes, sir.
and then all right. So now roll to. I should do your stat here for this kind of thing. Yeah. So roll your, this weird sort of hovering
Control,
maneuver.
yeah. 18.
Not great. You air. Let me see.
Could I have said I have my spear out, kind of using the butt of the spear maybe to guide me a little bit? Since I was
Not
kind of
now. You can't, buddy. So you just go too low. And you try to correct and you try to correct. And so it's fine. You kind of hit the cross section of the floor of the
yeah,
land.
yeah.
Um, Nothing sort of, nothing crumbles off and makes noise, nothing like that. So you just pull yourself up. You were grateful that it wasn't very high because all the rocks have made this second floor, only 2 feet
Right.
higher than
Right.
the rock.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a.
Um, so you climb up. Floor seems, okay. Um, Now, what do you want to put in your hands?
So I'm gonna have my spear and shield. My hands. Put my flail back in my belt.
And cinch it as tightly as you can to make sure it
Mhm.
does not jingle. So there's a problem with morning stars and flails. I literally give you a penalty for stalk hide if you do not successfully bind them. All right. Um, Roll the sneak.
Okay. Toward him. 47.
You're to the door. You peek around the door. He is sitting up on the desk waiting for you.
I close the door. Maybe he doesn't have object permanence. Maybe that's why he's lost.
Object permanence. That is freaking
Oh
hilarious.
my gosh.
He's like a dog. I thought you were gone for years. But,
Where'd you go?
that is
Oh,
so damn funny, dude. I close the door. His mist is going. You should roll for orientation.
17.
Yeah, so he gets to act before you're going to do anything. He is translucent. The mist is falling from him. His eyes remain concealed. Um, Roll for me.
69.
He appears relaxed. Um, he has now in his hand where you know that he did not have it on him. This long, sort of knobbled black, kind of a rod, but it ends in this bulbous black, sort of half spiked maw. It clearly moves as he moves, and there are teeth in there. And he has it holding it sort of across his thigh, his beads in the other hand. And in a very rough voice, like a growl coming through bubbles, the now toothless mouth of this creature says to you in pretty decent facts, "What is it that you want from me?" The accent is unlike anything you've heard. Some vowels are just stretched like want. What do you want? It's very strange.
Well, that seems like a good place to. Sounds like we're going to start a conversation with this gentleman. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
continue that next time on Karandrin.
Well, there you go, gang.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that was something.
Kevin, like basically 2/3 of my notes from this session are just describing this guy and everything he's doing. Like, oh my god!
Yeah, it's
Wow,
very interesting. Um, very interesting.
very interesting. All right, everybody.
Um, So yeah, so let me just regroup a little bit. So hey guys, thanks for watching. As always, we're continuing our march, getting closer and closer to 100. It's going to be really exciting. I haven't quite decided what we're going to do, although I do finally have an idea. I just have to figure out how to execute it, and I gotta get Obi-Wan's help on it. But so. We really appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with us. We're going to be back next Wednesday. I've already posted it up on YouTube, so it'll be ready to click on when you guys hop on. If you think we're doing a great job, please hop to donorbox.org / keep us streaming and send us a little love. It all goes toward Max's bubblegum and my medical bills. If you love Max as much as I do, then do go to his YouTube channel where he discusses the role of music and original soundtracks in video games. Max has a voice meant for radio. And so this is great. You don't have to see his face. As always, thanks to Elliot Dunovitz for their terrific art that we use for Brise's character every stream. If you want to see more of their work, you can go to artstation.com /Tortolua. And I've written a pretty fun novel that I hope you'll enjoy, and you can find it on Amazon. It's called A Shore Too Far. Max, these people have been a pretty good sport and been pretty patient with us. Why don't you say goodbye to them?
Yeah, well, I hope you tune in next week because I'm definitely invested in this, what's happening here. So, yeah, find out what happens next
Yeah,
Wednesday, 7 p.m. CST. And
uh,
yeah, we'll see you then.
we'll see you guys. Thanks for everything.